Hey guys, what is up? It is Lee here and welcome to a new video. This is going to be a Telos guide. I've been making this for a few days now, just off and on while AFKing a few skills on RS, and yeah, pretty much this first screen is just a table of contents showing you guys where each phase is. It's going to include obviously all phases and even an extended phase 5, one for higher enrages, which I haven't really fully got down yet, but you know, it's getting there. I just need to get more practice in, but I've still included it in here just to show you guys where I'm pretty much at with this boss. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Here is the table of contents, so if you do want to skip ahead onto certain phases then you can, and if not then just sit back and enjoy the rest of the video, and I shall see you soon. On the screen now is the gear and inventory setup that I'd use personally for Telos. So lower in range in my opinion is around 100% to 300-400%, and that is, I do tend to use a Nihil around that range as well. So as you can see, Nihil with the gear selection as well that I do use, and also the pack yak for the higher in range setup on the right hand side, with obviously more brews, less rocktails in the inventory, but you do have a pack yak to obviously have all your rocktails in, and I do have 3 acto pieces in that setup. But if you do have full acto from raids, then I would recommend bringing that instead, but you know, I don't do raids, so I only have one actually superior acto piece in a sense, so the other 2 pieces there are actually bought by Techie. So pretty much on screen now is the attack rotation for phase 1. The attack rotation is always the same for phase 1. It'll do the grip tendril first, uppercut surge, hold still and repeat. All these special attacks happen after 3 regular auto attacks from Telos. Right then, so continuing with the kill, you want to just go in. I go in with a 0 adrenaline. You can actually adrenaline stall and go in on 100% adrenaline, but I don't bother, I'm too lazy, and I never really adrenaline stalled, not even when I did get the Warden title. I just went in regularly with no adrenaline. So straight away you want a dread nip, adrenaline pot, and you know, drink your potions, activate your scrimshaw and god book, all that good stuff, and you want to build past 50% adrenaline. Throw in a few Guthix staff specials just to lower Telos' defense a little bit, and just then continue to build before the first special attack happens, which is the Tendril Grip, which you want to obviously asphyxiate and wild magic out of it. Shortly after that, a green beam will spawn, and also we'll be preparing for the second special attack, which is the Surge Cleave. So when that does tend to happen, you want to use Escape or Surge, depending on where the green beam is, and to avoid that damage. So when in the green beam, you want to use Natural Instinct, Anticipation, Wild Magic, and also Tsunami, and then in that time it will be the third special attack, which will be the Hostile Invader. And the way we get out of that is by using Anticipation or Freedom before the special attack happens, meaning we can Resonance and be able to move out the way of that attack. So after that we want to use Onslaught, and with the bonuses of Natural Instinct and also the crit chance of Tsunami, you only use 5% adrenaline per onslaught hit rather than what you would regularly use, which is about 25%, meaning that your onslaught lasts for much longer, meaning that you can deal more DPS and get phase 1 done within around a minute to a minute and 10 seconds if you're lucky, or maybe even quicker, and that is pretty much it for phase 1. Now what I've got on screen now is possible phasing attack rotations. Now this all depends on how you end phase 1, and it'll be the beginning of phase 2. Now, if phase, as seen on the screen there now, if phase 1 ends with the Tendril, phase 2 will start with a Magic Onslaught, and then it will then continue on to a regular rotation, which I'll show in a minute. If phase 1 ends with the Uppercut or Surge attack, phase 2 will start with the Hostile Invader. Then if phase 1 ends with the Hostile Invader, phase 2 will start with the Tendril. But this all depends as well, sort of like how many auto attacks it does deal on you before you phase it from 1 to 2. So for example, if you end phase 1 after the Tendril attack, but it already does 1 or 2 auto attacks on you before it actually phases to phase 2, then you will receive 1 auto attack on phase 2 before it will do the Hostile Invader attack or its next special attack on phase 2. So that is something to be wary about, and this will continue through all phases apart from phases 3 to 4, which I'll cover later on. So here we have on the screen the attack rotation for phase 2. This is if you do phase it correctly between phase 1 and 2, and you do end phase 1 with the tendril special, or with the tendril attack. But as seen on the previous slide, you did see all the attack rotations that it would do if you did phase it in different orders. So for this particular one, it's going to do a magic onslaught first, then a hold still. Virus attack happens after the hold still, which you just clear by standing in the black beam, then back out of it. But this virus only occurs after 50% enrage or higher at Telos has been achieved. Then it'll do the uppercut surge, and then tendril attack, and then it'll repeat the cycle again. I've put a note at the bottom there just as a brief reminder that the first attack may differ depending on the ending attack on phase 1, as shown by the previous slide that I did explain before. So if you want to re-look over that, then obviously just rewind the video slightly and you'll be able to see the full rotations and the full attacks that it does do depending on how you phase between 1 and 2. So, knowing what we know, let's crack on with the kill. And I know for a fact that it's going to start with the magic onslaught because how we phased it from 1 to 2, so we pray mage, and then I tend to go back into the corner where we do drop down from, because the black beam does focus on Telos quite a lot during this phase. Well, pretty much all the black beam does is spawn on Telos. So after the magic onslaught ends, it'll do 3 auto attacks, and then it'll do the wholesale invader. Slightly after the wholesale invader, it will then do another 3 auto attacks before the virus will appear on your debuff bar, which means just to stand in the black beam, just to clear it. As you can see right there, you'll get the message, the anima stream cleanses you. And then what I do tend to do then is run Telos out of the beam, put my planted feet switch on, sunshine, and then I do tend to build up ready for the tendril attack so I can deal as much DPS as possible, so I don't have to be in that grip attack and losing a lot of life points. So when we do sunshine and when it does another 3 auto attacks, we have enough adrenaline for us to use wild magic and asphyxiate, as we always like to do. During the grip attack we always save them abilities for that really. I tend to try and keep Telos out of the black beam as much as possible. And also, if you can, throw a couple of cheeky Guthix staff specials in there as well, just to lower Telos' defense and make it a lot easier for you to hit, and you'll make yourself a lot more accurate. And then once the onslaught, magical onslaught from Telos does resume again, go back into the black beam so you actually take reduced damage, because that is the effect of the black beam. You take reduced damage and you deal reduced damage, and yeah, you'll just carry on doing that rotation until phase 2 ends, and then you'll move on swiftly to phase 3. Pretty much like the last video, if phase 2 ends with a tendril, phase 3 will start with the hold still invader. Now you really don't want this to be your first starting special attack on phase 3, mainly because if you'll be in the red beam as well, and you're going to be dealing more damage, and you're also going to be taking damage. So when he does hit you with that melee hit, it will hit very, very high numbers, upwards on, it varies from enrage obviously, but it could vary between a 3k, or it could end up varying to a 10 or 11k depending on enrage. Plus you're going to be protecting mage as well, so this causes it to be even more dangerous, but you want to try and avoid that at all costs. You want to phase 2 to phase 3 with either the magical onslaught or any other special attack, hold still or uppercut. And as seen on screen there, if you end phase 2 with the magical onslaught, phase 3 will start with a virus, which you're going to be in the red beam, so it's going to instantly clear anyway. If phase 2 ends with a hold still invader or uppercut, then phase 3 will start with the uppercut, so no need to worry there. It's just that one special attack with the tendril. If you do phase it with that, then phase 3 will be a little bit dodgy to start with, and it will start with the hold still. So here is the attack rotation for phase 3. Now I do have the note at the bottom again like the previous video on phase 2, but this is the rotation for phase 3. It will start with the virus, obviously because of the way we have phased it for this kill. That is only after 50% enrage. After the virus it will go to an uppercut or surge, and then it will go into hold still, and it will repeat the cycle. Now what you've got to do on this phase is sort of keep Telos out of the red beam, and also kill the anima golems which rise up out of the ground after a certain amount of time throughout this phase. This phase, if it's done right, it should be no problems at all, and you should also get it done relatively quickly. So this is one of the fastest phases apart from phase 1 if done right. So let's get on with the killing. So straight away, once on drop down, you want to protect from magic, you want to combust and wild magic Telos and run into the corner where you do actually drop down, and you want to wait and look around the room for the red beam to spawn. When you see the red beam, either surge or run to it. When you stand into the beam, make sure Telos has actually finished moving, then you want to use Onslaught, a Dreadnip, and also your Excalibur. Now what you want to do now is just wait until you either see a surge or an hold still, depending on how you have phased from phase 2. In our case, the virus was first, so we know the uppercut is going to be coming afterwards, and we end up cancelling our Onslaught with a Dragon's Breath, obviously because we went down to about 2 to 3k life points. Yes, you can cancel it lower if you have bigger balls, but it's entirely up to you. So once you do cancel your Onslaught and you surge away from the uppercut, you do want to kill the minions or just drop down the golems to make sure that bar at the top stays as far left as possible. This is to prevent Telos from nuking us, and that does hit a vast amount of damage, so you want to keep that bar as far left as possible. So once the hold still happens, it will go back into the virus and a red beam will change location, so obviously go back into the red beam to cleanse the anima, and then you want to just keep using chain on Telos to maybe hit the golems afterwards as well, to maybe drop them down if they're in close proximity, and that should be pretty much it. You should just repeat the cycle until Telos phases to phase 4, nice and easy. Usually it's a quick phase if done correctly. It just takes a lot of practice. The same with phase 1 and 2. The whole kill in general is just going to take a lot of practice, so please don't expect to try this first time and for it to work first time. Yeah, maybe you might get it first time, but it does take a lot of perseverance and a lot of practice to get right. And also with Telos, I'd say the biggest thing, movement is key, because you want to click around Telos and do like a loop-de-loop in a sense, rather than clicking through Telos, because that will cause Telos's anti-walk mechanic to completely fuck you over. Anyway, once that's done, you're happily on to phase 4. Right then, cracking on with phase 4, and we have the possible phasing attack rotations from 3 to 4 on the screen right now, and we'll basically go through them. If phase 3 ends with a virus, phase 4 will do 3 auto attacks before doing the wholesale invader. Now bear in mind that all these special attacks, or all of these attacks that it'll do on phase 4, to begin with, the first one always starts with 3 auto attacks. No matter how many auto attacks it does before you phase it from phase 3 to 4, the first special attack will always happen after 3 full auto attacks on phase 4, so that's something to be wary about. So phase 3 ends with a hold still. Obviously phase 4 will start with a weak anima bomb, which we can cleanse by standing next to the fonts which are active in the room. So with these weak anima bombs, these will basically drain your overload each time the bleed effect does occur on you if you're not standing close enough to a font. This damage from the weak anima bomb can either be barricaded, which it's not really needed unless you're going to be phasing into the font at the same time. You can use reflect to half the damage, shield dome to half the damage, and also debilitate, which is the ability which I prefer mostly to pretty much cut the damage in half and not take as much. And lastly, if phase 3 ends with an uppercut, phase 4 will begin with an uppercut after 3 standard auto attacks. So what we'll do now, we'll get on with the attack rotation for phase 4, which depending on how you phase it from phase 3 to 4 may change, but the attack rotation is usually a hold still, uppercut surge, weak anima bomb, which we can deal with by standing by the font, debilling or reflecting it, and it will cut the damage in half. And so much power attack will occur no matter what after the second font happens, which I'll talk about during the kill. And then as standard, I've just put a note down the bottom there saying that the first attack may differ again depending on how the ending attack on phase 3. So that's just a reminder. You don't have to really deal with that, but that's just there for the sake of reminding you guys about it. Anyway, let's crack on with the kill. Right then, so continuing with phase 4, during drop down, with us knowing the previous attack it did do on phase 3, on this particular kill it is going to do the wholesale invader first on phase 4, so it will do 3 auto attacks always on phase 4 before it does its first special attack, which is the wholesale, which we're dealing with right there. So pretty much you just want to get down to around 112.5k life points if you're over 200% in rage, and that will cause the first font to become active and you need to charge it. You can charge it in a number of ways. You can charge it by using reflect and revenge on the minions. This halves the damage dealt from the font from your life points, so you don't get dealt the full damage, or you can choose to barricade it, which is what I tend to do sometimes. Depends really the scenario. I do tend to reflect revenge sometimes and barricade others. So after the first insta-kill is survived, you want to pretty much just make your way over to the east side, and this is where you'll see the second font that we're going to be using to survive the second insta-kill attack. So pretty much, you want to cycle through Telos' special attacks as you did see on the previous slide for this, this particular rotation on phase 4, and then you want to obviously just to kill all the minions, make sure the minions are dead from the first insta-kill attack, and you want to make sure Telos does its special attack before phasing into the font. So you make sure you have 3 full auto attacks from Telos before it does its so much power attack. As you can see on the top of the screen, that blue bar which is charging up. When it's fully charged, this causes an auto attack or so much power attack from Telos, and it will pretty much hit you on a high amount of damage depending on what enrage you are on. You can halve this by using Shield Dome, you can resurrect yourself by using Immortality, or you can completely clear it by using Barricade. In this instance I did use Immortality, mainly because I was at sort of like a highish enrage, and also I did want the heal afterwards because of the previous cycle of special attacks and the fact that my Barricade was still on cooldown from the previous first font. But pretty much if you take it slow and steady, you'll be able to barricade the first font and barricade the second insta-kill attack, or the so much power attack after the second font has been charged. After the second font's been dealt with and also all the minions have died, just want to make your way over to the south side, continuing cycling over all these special attacks to where the last font is located before either the kill ends or the phase 5 begins. So yet again, you want to reflect and revenge the font like you did on the second font as well, and you want to continue to use Chain, Corruption Blast, Dragon's Breath and try and clump the minions up as much as possible. I do soul split the minions just to get a little bit of life points back, along with using Blood Barrage and try and auto attack a few times as well, because with 10 stacks of revenge you do actually get really nice heals. So after all them minions are down and the insta kill is pretty much done and dusted, you want to then just avoid the final special attacks before you either get the kill complete or you then start phase 5. If you're completing the kill, then congratulations. If not, then we'll crack on with phase 5. Alright then, so a lower enrage phase 5, if you know the way, should be very quick, and you should get it a 0 font enrages from 100 to about 250 to 270%. So straight away you want to protect magic, you want to then find the green beam wherever that does spawn. Use a Dreadnip if you have them, target one of the middle minions when you do group them all up, use Corruption Blast, use Natural Instinct, Sunshine and then Tsunami, and then in that time the first rock will fall. So you want to then continue staying in the green beam once all the minions are dead. You want to use your thresholds, you want to use Omni Power, Wild Magic, Asphyxiate, Tendril if you can, and then after all them have been used you want to then use Barricade, because the bleed is going to happen then where you need to go to the correct beam to clear it. You'll be able to see the bleed on your debuff bar, and you'll also get the chat message like on the previous couple of phases when we do get the virus attack. Same chat message applies. So then when the beams do tend to switch, we then want to get back into the green beam, get to full life points, and then we're going to use Onslaught. On it and lower in rage, you do want to tank that rock and just stay in the green beam, use your Excalibur and just continue onslaughting and dreadnipping pretty much until Telos has pretty much been defeated. So you can easily tank one rock at lowish in rage. After around 300% you do, 3 to 400%, that is when it becomes a little bit sketchy. But pretty much that is the kill complete, and that should be a 0 font phase 5. Now what I'm going to do is show a more advanced phase 5, one phase 5 where you're going to have to font the minions and also avoid Telos' insta-kill attack, and we shall do so by cracking on with it right now. Okay, so we're going into a slightly more higher range Telos kill now, one where we're going to have to font the minions and actually use Immortality to avoid the insta-kill attack. So I'll try and walk you through it as best as I can. With this kill we did get a bad green beam spawn, so it is quite good to show what you do in sort of like these situations. So straight away you want to surge to the beam, which if it does spawn in Narnia. Then we also got the red minions as well. Red minion stuns, so you want to use Anticipation. But for a higher enrage kill you want to use Reflect Revenge, and you do a Sunshine. Keep avoiding rocks of course, and then you want to barricade the bleed. I didn't barricade, I barricaded too late pretty much, but you want to Tsunami then barricade. So I did end up barricading the bleed sort of halfway across there, and then you want to clear your bleed because it does happen so quickly, and then pretty much after that the beams are going to bound to change, so I always tend to run back to where my Sunshine is just in case we get lucky with another green beam spawn. Here we got a black beam on the spawn, so we had to double back around myself and go back into the green beam. And this is where we do the onslaught method. I couldn't do the onslaught for very long though, because obviously the bar at the top there is pretty much full, so in a few more attacks Telos will do its insta-kill, as everything pretty much happens really rapidly with Telos being able to free stuns from Dreadnips and stuff. So once it does charge the insta-kill attack, you want to then continue to stay in the green beam, use immortality. This means that you can resurrect yourself from the insta-kill attack. This only works up until 999% in rage, but pretty much that's all I'm going to be doing so far. And then the second batch of minions will spawn. This is where you want to put a corruption blast on them and then sort of do a loop-de-loop around so they all clump up together. I then do a little tsunami, possibly throw in a sunshine there as well, depending on the life points of the minions. Then what I'll do is I'll surge to where the font is. We got obviously the green minions spawned, so we needed to go to the green font, which at the time was pretty much in Narnia. So I charged the funds up by killing obviously all the minions that were left, and then we cleared the bleed in the correct beam. You can use reflect and debilitate on the bleed and it will cut the damage in half. After the bleed's cleared yet again, the beams will change again. I got not too bad of a spawn. The green beam did spawn quite a way away, so I didn't really bother going there. I just stayed in the red beam because it was closest to the font that we're going to be using to avoid the insta-kill. So just keep continuing to avoid the rocks and pretty much keep DPSing down thresholds, Dreadnips and all that good stuff. Even use devotion and debilitate if you can, that always helps a lot. So pretty much Telos is charging another insta-kill attack, where this time with immortality being on cooldown we have to use the font, and that's how we've lured all the minions over, and the minions have effectively charged the font for us. And then pretty much the beams will change again. We want to get back into the green beam, and this is where a third set of minions will spawn. This is where we want to use Reflect and Revenge again, and also do a Sunshine. We want to do a loop-de-loop around again to clump all the minions up, pop a Corruption Blast on the minions as well. Barricade earlier this time as well. I did not barricade early enough on the red virus at the start of the kill. Then you want to throw in a Tsunami and just kill off the remaining minions, because this time we're going to be doing Immortality rather than luring them to the font. You can use to do a Natural Instinct. This means you can gain more adrenaline when in the green beam whilst doing Reflect and Revenge just before doing a Sunshine. I'm still yet to fully nail down this method myself, because I do want to try and get it more smoother and perfect it more on higher enrages, like 500% plus. So I am yet to practice that fully, but I am looking forward to doing that, and might actually end up making a separate just phase 5 higher enrage kill for that. But for now, this is pretty much where I am, nihiling up to around 400% in rage without any acto, which I think isn't too bad, to be honest. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I do hope this guide helped. Sorry for it being a very long video, and I hope to see you again in the next one. So guys, take care, stay safe, and peace.